Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, CM Punk wants an AEW return. Shock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dax Harwood talked up the possibility of a CM Punk return to AEW.
Jeff Hardy doesn't want an AEW return. He got one last night.
And Vince McMahon, he's got nothing to do with AEW, unless you believe that he owns it, which he doesn't. His contract may well have been leaked. I'm Adam Wilborn.
What a start.
And this is the news. We're back in the groove, baby.
We really are. We've got everything we need, want, and desire, including Larry.
Love Larry.
CM Punk wants to return to AEW.
Yes!
This is a report from Fightful Select, and it complements the stuff that you're going to go over quite nicely. But according to Fightful, who published this report yesterday, Punk has made numerous pitches to the company about returning to action. He has communicated repeatedly with Tony Khan about this over a recent time spell, I guess. Now, numerous scenarios have been laid out as part of this communication by Punk. And he noted how he'd even be willing to work with a certain Kenneth Omega and Youngest Buck. Young Bucks, you know who I'm talking about. Fightful noted, however, that as of a couple of months ago, even though Punk said he might be willing to work with them, as of a couple of months ago, the Elite maybe not so keen on working with CM Punk, which I think is quite understandable, given that what happened all of this stuff, you know the score. And now things could always change when it comes to the EVP's attitude towards Punk and everything else if he does end up returning, but it's a weird situation. It's a complex situation. Now, in addition to working with the Elite, however, Punk has shown a willingness to return to AEW and keep away from the Bucks as well, if that's an option, and Omega. A bunch of people have seen the seemingly impending Saturday show as a way they could do that. It would be interesting. I'm not sure I would want to, like, if I have a star of CM Punk's caliber, I'd probably want them on all shows, to be honest. But hey, whatever works. And apparently as well, Punk is open to working elsewhere too. So Fightful doesn't know if that means like AEW adjacent promotions like Ring of Honor and New Japan, just elsewhere. WWE, Impact, MLW. Yep.
After the past few years, I wouldn't rule anything out, to be perfectly honest. I'll give my thoughts on it in a second, because I should really give the thoughts of someone who's a little bit closer to CM Punk. Because Dax Harwood, FTR's Dax, has been chatting all about this on his FTR with Dax podcast, which, Andy, is one of the best podcasts out there that isn't ours. He said, he's talking about fantasy booking the Elite versus Punk and FTR. He said, the reason I'm fantasy booking the Elite versus Punk and FTR is because outside of Roman Reigns and maybe Cody Rhodes, the biggest name in professional wrestling right now is CM Punk, right? Definitely the biggest name in AEW. So if we want to take AEW to the next level, the way you do that is you take the biggest star that you have and one of the biggest stars in the world and you put them on the card and you make money with them. He also continued talking to Punk, saying on top of that, I will say I talk to Punk almost every day and Punk misses wrestling. That's your headline. Thanks, Dax. Punk misses wrestling and Punk wants to come back and he wants to give back to the fans. He wants to give back to wrestling, so I will leave it at that. It's just nice to report this story whilst, at least for the time being, not being completely contradicted by social media posts.
Well, that's going to be coming, brother.
Yeah.
It's the boom-bust cycle, isn't it? Because, like, after the Rocky thing and all of that stuff and the you're a stooge and a liar, John Moxley and Chris Jericho and Dave Meltzer and blah, blah, blah. After all of that, it came out like a week later that some bridges had maybe been started to repair, and then that happened. And look, CM Punk and CM Punk. CM Punk is CM Punk, and that's why I love him.
Yeah.
He gives you both sides. He gives you the wonderful, visceral, super real, organic pro wrestling that cuts straight to the bone, and then he gives you complete backstage catastrophe because he falls out with everyone. That's the nature of the man. Look, Michael Hamflett tweeted it best a few weeks ago. You either understand why CM Punk is worth the fuss and think he is worth the fuss, or you don't. That's just how it works. I'm not taking sides in this silly culture war between his fans and the Elite fans. I like all of these people. Also, I'm not backstage, so I don't really care if backstage is a bit chaotic. Because I don't work there. I want to see good stuff on my TV. Obviously, I don't want the company disintegrating because covering it is a lot of fun. But yeah, I would like CM Punk back.
Look, I agree with you completely, Andy. And call me biased, and maybe if this was someone else, would I feel the same way? Who knows? But I want CM Punk back as well because, in my opinion, CM Punk had the best feud in AEW history, even better than Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page. I preferred MJF versus CM Punk, and I think what he did with the likes of Darby Allin and the noises that were coming out of the likes of Hobbs said he liked working with him, didn't he? Quite a few people said they enjoyed.
Brody King likes work. Well, he's taken photos with him and shared them and stuff. So there's a balance to him.
I think if, ironically, you keep him on the right sort of leash, I think he could be a real benefit for that company. And, well, we'll get to it a little bit in a little while because we've got some Twitter questions about this, understandably. Yeah. I think having someone like CM Punk on the books and on the cards helps you sell out Wembley Stadium, for example.
And look, if I was Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, or Nick Jackson, I would not want him back either. I would not want to work with him either. If somebody had, said those things in the press conference and that, the fight happened and all of that stuff, I would be the exact same. I'd be like, no, screw this guy. So if they end up going, no, actually, we'll make some money with this dude. We'll figure it out. They are bigger men than me.
I feel bad because as you were talking about that, I started smirking, and I'd just like to point out it's not because of the story you were telling there. I just thought how funny it would be to CM Punk to extend the olive branch with a basket of muffins. So,
if they've got a sense of humour, and I think they do.
Like if you see them on Being the Elite eating muffins, it's a go.
Yeah, there we go. Also, let's talk about Jeff Hardy.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to think of a way of joining that. They feuded in WWE.
They
CM
did.
Punk and Jeff Hardy. There you go.
Good feud as well, that.
It was. Jeff's back on AEW TV.
And he's learned.
He has learned that when you come to the ring, you don't have to stop to do your dance.
Especially when your brother's getting his head caved in.
I was a bit disappointed by that, actually, because, it was very similar to his debut angle, where famously he came halfway down the ramp, started doing the do, which was I got a kick out of that, and I was like, is he going to do it again? Is he going to do it again? He did not do it again. Very disappointed.
Ooh.
But Jeff's back. It's the first time he's been back since last June. Very similar to his debut angle, like I said. Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy and Hook were getting beaten up by the firm. The idea was that Matt Hardy is no longer bound to a contract with the firm because Hook beat Ethan Page, but they're going to have a match where if they win, they won't be. It's very confused. But the gist was that the firm were overwhelming Hook, Hardy, and Cassidy. The Hardy Boys music hit. Jeff ran down, steel chair, beat everyone up, hit a swanton bomb that looked like it crushed Lee Moriarty's
love
face.
latter day Jeff Hardy swanton bombs because the young lads are just taking. He's like, I'm too old now to be taking this on me, boys. I'm just gonna.
Lads, I'm in a bad way. You're gonna have to get pancaked here. But Lee Moriarty tweeted afterwards. It was quite funny. But yes, Jeff's back. This is obviously a very complicated case. Mm-hmm. He was arrested last June. This was all playing out while I was in the exact same county as him in Florida.
You were, weren't you? Weird. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's 10 minutes that way. But yeah, he was arrested. I've got a full list of bits and pieces here to go through. Driving under the influence was the main one. Those charges came through in February, and it was said, where are we? I'm completely lost on today's video. But yeah, he faced charges of driving with a suspended license, violating restrictions placed on his license, and felony DUI. He was sentenced in February to 38 days in prison, which he'd already served, a 2-year probationary period, a 10-year suspension of his license, and a couple of other bits and pieces as well. Tony Khan had previously said that he wouldn't be allowed to return to AEW until he'd completed a treatment program and maintained his sobriety. That was last year when he got suspended. So when he got arrested too. So there you go, Jeff. Very complicated case for sure. Obviously, the main thing when he came out was hope he's doing good. Hope he's well. Hope he's getting there. He has struggled with these things a lot throughout his life and his career, and he's had a lot of chances to get back on track. So you hope that this is, he's overcome these things and everything else, and that he's doing well, and that he's happier, healthier, and he can just start living again.
That's the main thing, isn't it? Yeah, as much as I want to see Jeff Hardy back in a wrestling ring, the most important thing is his health and well-being, and he's back on the straight and narrow. I will say I'm rather glad that I saw your tweet with that photo of him a couple of weeks or so back.
With a grey beard.
Where he just looks, like, oh, yeah, he looks better.
He did look, absolutely.
But yeah, you're right, that's the most important thing. I'm glad to see him back in AEW, but first and foremost, yeah, look after yourself, Jeff.
And support people on the road to recovery as well. I know, like, this has happened a lot with Jeff, but, like, there's really nothing to benefit from getting all high and mighty about stuff like this. Like, I just hope the dude is in a better place. That's legitimately it. And fingers crossed that that's the case. He seemed quite happy on Dynamite anyway. And the greybeard ruled a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Very disappointed he got rid of that. Because as we've proven from myself, from CM Punk, from Larry actually, as well, from Keith Lee, a greybeard immediately makes you 200%.
I'll take any beard, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, you'll have a great moustache come November, baby. Wait till that kid takes its toll, brother.
Oh,
you're gonna age like milk left out in the sun.
Right, let's talk a little bit about Vince McMahon's new contract. It's been leaked by the Hollywood Reporter, and it's got lots of legal jargon, let's say, in it. He signed it on the 29th of March, and the contract's terms include McMahon's continued employment shall be conditioned on compliance with the company's conflict of interest and code of conduct, plus WWE's equal opportunity and non-harassment policy. The Hollywood Reporter also noting, I was about to say reporting, that would be clues in the title there, Adam. Vince has reimbursed WWE for expenses incurred as a result of his hush money scandal, but his exposure for the undisclosed payments could have further repercussions given SEC and US Attorney's Office investigations. It doesn't exactly reassure me that he says, I'll sign a contract that, says that I'll be good this time, because he resigned and retired in disgrace, Andy.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and all the legal documentation is right there. He's repaid WWE, he's reimbursed the company, all of that stuff. He's back in power.
I want to give him a pat on the back for paying back WWE for, anyway.
Yeah, 100%. We've analysed Vince a lot lately, over the past year in particular. Let's go to the Twitter questions with that in mind.
Smart move. Yeah. At Adam, no, that's me. At WhatCulture WWE for all of us.
At Larry T Dog.
Jordan Plosky Zoop. I don't know if that's his double barrel surname. I hope it is.
I hope so.
Jordan, thank you for the question. Gives us our first one today.
Big Zoop.
Says, with the news of Punk willing to come back and TK being a numbers/data guy, do you think his return could spike an extra 10,000 tickets sold to All In? Do British fans care? I mean, I care.
Yeah, we'd have to get Mookie Ghana, hold Chris Harrington on that one.
Hey.
The spreadsheet king, I understand, to figure that one out. But if Tony Khan and AEW have a vault of data that says when CM Punk is here, these metrics improve, absolutely, they will try to get him on the show. Do I think he can add 10,000 tickets alone? I don't know.
Ask 5-Star Wrestling.
Yeah, they had Alberto Del Rio. How did they not sell out? So I would be reticent to say I think he's going to spark this many tickets, but he will definitely increase interest in the show. I do think that UK fans care as much as US fans. Maybe not Chicago fans, but the broader. I think UK fans are in line with the general perception of CM Punk. I do think he'd help business. It just becomes the case of weighing up. If you're Tony Khan, you obviously have to weigh up the backstage stuff with the business stuff, with the creative stuff, and the Larry stuff, because Larry rules.
Yeah.
You know what we could do at Wembley? Wembley never had a historic sporting moment. We've covered that. It's an empty vessel.
Well, Chesterfield beating Swindon in the Johnson's Plate Trophy final.
One historic sporting moment in history. Nothing else.
As it tastes, Paolo Di Canio.
There you go. Take a seat, you sausage. He was a bad egg, wasn't he?
Fascist, wasn't he?
Yeah, really not a good guy. Never had a historic sporting moment that didn't involve Chesterfield.
Good point.
What we do is we recreate the classic moment. The classic moment, the most significant thing that happened to All Out last year, Larry the dog running to the ring.
Yeah.
Quality.
I love it. Look, Jordan, what I will say in answer to your question, I think it will increase ticket sales if he does come back with that question, but I don't think AEW booked Wembley and then went, oh, bollocks, who are we going to put on the card?
I think they do. I think
if he's coming back, this has been worked out beforehand and they've gone, I reckon with Phil coming back, we can.
Is this subtle? I don't know if this is subtle.
We can do Wembley basically, because I think many of us assumed Craven Cottage, although that wasn't going to work during the football season, obviously.
Tony Khan, like me, has an ace up his sleeve.
Stick around, eel.
This is
because I've got something for you later on.
He's an asshole.
Mark Smith writes, "Morning, gents. Is Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland?"
Sorry. Move the mic. Sorry, keep going.
Is Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland an example of when a company should just drop an angle? I get life gets in the way sometimes, but this feud should have been done. Have a good day.
Should have wrapped it weeks ago.
It's been going on a long time, this, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been.
I love both guys.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Like, especially Swerve. Like, I think he's a future world champion in that company. He's just so sick.
He's got it.
He's got everything. He's got things you cannot teach and things you can teach.
Yeah.
It's a perfect combo. And Keith Lee rules, obviously. Great beard, tremendous. They should have wrapped this a while ago. It has at times veered into the territory where I'm sitting there going, hey, what happened to that feud? And you should never get into that range unless it's like a considerate long-term thing. So, yeah, I mean, Keith Lee got a brick stomped on his chest and came back, and then there was just nothing for a while. So, I don't know if they should have dropped it cold. I am glad we're getting a blow-off match at the pay-per-view because I think it will be very good, and I think they deserve that. But yeah, they have definitely dragged their heels with this, AEW have, and it would feel a lot hotter if this was like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And we were getting to the wrap-up.
This is probably a bad example because I do remember, like you say, the angle that happened with Lee and Swerve. It just was a long time ago. But Keith Lee, that's not the wrong person, Adam. Tony Khan has this worrying habit of going like, oh, do you remember this between these two? And I'm like, not really, to be honest.
Sort of,
it
brother.
was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, I love both guys. I think they're very talented, but I think this should have been done at the last pay-per-view, if not the pay-per-view before that.
Or even as like a TV main event or something. Yeah, there were opportunities to wrap this up a bit earlier, I think, and that would have benefited everyone. There you go.
Yeah. Final question today comes from Alberta Booze Cruise on Twitter, who says, all right, boys, with the WWE and UFC merging, what are the odds we get a proper fight between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam? Two beefy men legit punching.
Well,
bring back the fight pit.
This is Enochiism, this isn't it? The great man's legacy being honoured in the United States. I don't think so. I can't sit here and say that Vince would have learned from the Brawl for All because he definitely wouldn't have. History tells us that that's not necessarily a thing he does. But Bobby Lashley, have you ever watched any of Bobby Lashley's MMA fights? No. I love Bobby Lashley.
In Bellator?
He was. He's my favourite.
That's why I didn't watch him then.
My favourite WWE wrestler. MMA, the record is quite flattering. I think Brock Lesnar would probably bulldoze him, and I don't think there'd be any value because when you have a real fight, not a real fight on your wrestling show, it kind of exposes everything else as fake and stupid and lame. I don't like the disconnect that creates. Also, if it was rubbish, if it was like one of those MMA fights where some guy just takes the other guy down and holds him there and
that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah,
punches him softly in the side.
Stand and trade with someone like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. You're not gonna, or Big Bob for that matter.
Bob, yeah.
So I think it's a bad idea.
Do you think they legit could do a gimmicked fight pit though between those two?
A gimmicked fight pit? Yeah, I think so. I mean,
just tell DC what he's meant to do this time. I
know a lot of people. Yeah, poor guy. I know a lot of people didn't like Kane versus Brock, but I kind of did. I know that those pay-per-views are what they are, but for 3 minutes it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Maybe do that for a bit longer.
I just can't believe people have looked at this and they've seen the Endeavour deal and they've talked about, the merging companies and not seen the most obvious thing, especially with what happened on night 2 of WrestleMania, guys. Raw Underground's coming back. Shane's going to be there saying, sick, and then going to blow his knee out. Shane still got it!
Shane.
Has he, Michael? He doesn't look like he can.
He literally...
I'm sorry.
He literally did one athletic thing and blew his quad.
He did a drop down. He did a leapfrog and blew his knee out, and then Snoop Dogg did the greatest people slow-mo of all time.
Wouldn't laugh if he wasn't a billionaire's nepo baby, to be fair, but...
The roller coaster of emotions I watched... Simon Miller's always positive, right? But the roller coaster of emotions I watched Phil Chambers and Adam Nicholas go on for that. I meant this guy, and then he was possibly the best journey of WrestleMania weekend. Because I went, oh, no way, I don't like that guy, actually. And then we were just sat there like, this is going to be 15 minutes. He's already gassed walking to the ring, and then he blew his knee out. We should I'm not happy anyone gets injured, obviously.
Yeah, like, I hope he's an older, well, he's in his 50s. I hope he's recovering quite well.
Yeah.
But also... He's a demented billionaire's nepo baby, so it is quite funny.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you can call me whatever. Let's
move on to today's and finally. I'm glad you're still here, because shout out to James Barker at Darth Pogo on Twitter, who says, "Morning legends, I present this to you." And it was a news article that says, "This guy loves his pet eel so much, he built an eel pit inside of his basement." So if you really love the eel,
I hate
I'm
him.
sorry, Andy's girlfriend, but Hope you don't have got anything important in the basement because it's getting flooded tonight, baby.
We're turning the spare room into an eel pit. Jeezy.
I like the idea of the spare room as well. Flooding the spare room. I've been to your house. The spare room is not downstairs.
No.
It just opens into the hallway like The Shining or just a load of eels flying out.
So
Don't go in there!
We'd have to dig a hole. And then we could make it artistic. We could layer the spare bed over the top, so it's like a platform. So it's like
I like that.
Yeah.
A glass.
Someone stays
I'm
over.
communist, yeah.
They open the door and they see this guy the first thing when they wake up.
I don't know what would make me have less sleep: having a child or sleeping in the eel room.
Oh, get out of the eel room, man! This guy is an asshole, man.
Excuse me, landlord. Why haven't I got my deposit back? You turned the room into a eel pit.
There's an eel there, idiot.
He still pays rent. What's the problem?
Yeah, come on.
Right, thank you once again
Gives us free
to
power.
James Barker for that one. Any more eel stuff, send it our way. And of course, don't forget, we haven't done this for ages. It's Wacky Friday tomorrow.
Dumbass news tomorrow. I'll do a YouTube community post for that.
I can't emphasise enough, we're not going to answer questions about Roman Reigns' next opponent, okay? Stupid questions only.
Yeah, there's always a couple of really well thought out logical fantasy booking things, and it's wrong day, my friend.
Yeah, I get it when
Wrong
people
day.
just tweet it at us on a Friday, right? But when you post jacked eel saying, give me your questions.
Or I'll eat you. Yeah. Or a fat alligator.
Or jacked cow. Anyway.
Or Larry.
Yeah.
Might do Larry today. Who knows?
Thoughts, Twitter questions, all that good stuff on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Watch that you can follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at.
I forgot my hoop. 2 6.
Okay. 50, I'm going to say it's 56.
You can follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hoop 56. Escape from Los Hoopjulies.
You can follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from. For daily wrestling podcasts, me and Sige sitting down to chat all about AEW Dynamite. And you can read his ups and downs article at whatculture.com. Probably right now, in fact. As well as that, of course, Simon Miller coming your way with ups and downs from AEW Dynamite later on today on this channel as well. But for now, this has been the news. My thanks to Andy Murray, to the Eel, to Larry. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you soon.